It all happened so fast. One moment, we were a planet plugged in, our ears filled with everything from symphonies to synth pop. The next, there was only silence. Well, not exactly silence. It was something much, much worse. They called it the giggle glitch. A computer virus, born from some forgotten corner of the internet, had spread like wildfire. It didn't delete our music. Oh no, it was far more creative than that. It twisted every digital song file in the world. Your favorite power ballad? Now punctuated with the sound of a whoopee cushion. That epic movie score? Interrupted by a loud, cartoonish sneeze. It was a digital apocalypse, but a funny one. At first, we thought it was a prank. A very, very big prank. People laughed as their morning workout playlist suddenly sounded like a circus full of clowns. But the laughter died down quickly. When technicians realized the virus was irreversible, panic set in. Every server, every phone, every cloud storage account was infected. The beautiful, complex tapestry of human musical history was gone. It was replaced by a global soundtrack of burps, squeaks, and hiccups. It was a tragedy, a complete and total loss of our culture. But it was also impossible not to chuckle when your sad breakup song suddenly featured a rubber chicken sound. The world had lost its music, and it was a very strange, very silly kind of sad. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I had ever heard. People walked around in a daze, their earbuds dangling uselessly. Cars drove by without the familiar thump of a bass line. Stores were quiet, their speakers thankfully turned off to avoid broadcasting a symphony of silly noises. We had taken music for granted, assuming it would always be there, just a click away. Now, the vast library of human expression was locked behind a door of digital nonsense. We were left with nothing but the memory of songs, a faint echo in our minds that we couldn't quite grasp. The world felt empty, hollowed out, like a drum with a hole in it. We tried to fight it, of course. Experts from all over the world worked day and night. They tried everything to clean the files, to reverse the damage done by the giggle glitch. But the virus was too clever. It had woven itself into the very fabric of the digital sound waves. Any attempt to remove the silly sounds just corrupted the file into pure static. It was a hopeless situation. We were forced to accept the new reality. All the music we had ever known, from the ancient chants to the latest pop hits, was gone. It was a cultural reset nobody asked for, a terrible joke played on all of humanity. Weeks turned into months. The world got used to the quiet. We learned to live without a soundtrack to our lives. Then, a rumor started. It was just a whisper at first, a small spark in the overwhelming silence. The rumor traveled on paper notes, passed from hand to hand. It was spoken in hushed tones in the new, quiet marketplaces. It said that someone, a girl named Alara, had something special. She lived in an old, forgotten part of the city, in a building piled high with relics from the pre-glitch world. The rumor claimed she had a machine that could still play music. Real music, without any funny sounds. Alara was just a normal girl, really. She liked to collect old things, stuff her parents called junk. She had boxes of old magazines, forgotten toys, and ancient electronics. One of those electronics was a PlayStation 2. It was big and black and clunky. Her grandfather had given it to her years ago. She never used it much. It just sat in a corner of her room gathering dust. She had no idea that this old gaming console, a relic from a forgotten age, would soon become the most important object in the world. She was about to become the keeper of the last song, a responsibility she never, ever wanted. The whispers grew louder. They became stories. The stories became legends. People said Alara's machine was magical. They said it was protected from the giggle glitch by some old, forgotten technology. In a world starved for melody, the idea of a single, working music player was like a miracle. Her name, Alara, was spoken with a kind of reverence. She was no longer just a girl who collected junk. She was a beacon of hope. She was the girl who held the key to our lost past. The pressure started to build, a heavy weight on her shoulders that she didn't even know was there yet. I first heard the rumor from a man selling hand-carved flutes in the park. He told me the story with wide, hopeful eyes. He said a girl had a magic box that held a real song. At first I didn't believe him. It sounded like a fairy tale, a story people told themselves to feel better. But then I heard it again, and again. The story was everywhere. Everyone was talking about Ilara and her mysterious machine. Hope is a powerful thing, especially in a world that has lost so much. The legend of Ilara and her PlayStation 2 was the first real hope we had felt since the day the music died. The news spread like a shockwave. It wasn't just a local rumor anymore. Hand-printed flyers appeared in towns hundreds of miles away. Messengers on bicycles carried the news across old highways. Ilara's claim, once a quiet whisper, became a global headline written on scraps of paper. The world reacted with a mix of disbelief and desperate excitement. Could it be true? After all this time, was there really one song left? People started to move. They left their quiet homes and began a journey. They walked, they biked, they rode on carts pulled by horses. They were all heading to one place. Ilara's apartment building. Her quiet neighborhood was transformed overnight. It became a massive, sprawling camp. Tents popped up in the parks and on the sidewalks. The streets were filled with people from every walk of life. There were old people who remembered the music of the 60s. There were young people who barely remembered what a clean song sounded like. They all had one thing in common, a deep, aching hunger for music. They waited patiently, their faces filled with anticipation. They created a city of hope, all centered around a single, unremarkable apartment building. The air buzzed with a nervous energy, a collective holding of breath. Ilara was terrified. She looked out her window at the sea of faces staring up at her. She never wanted this. She was a private person. Now the whole world was literally at her doorstep. She clutched the old black PlayStation 2 to her chest. It felt heavy, like the weight of everyone's expectations. Her parents tried to manage the crowd, but it was impossible. There were too many people, delegations were formed, mayors of nearby towns came to plead with her. They offered her food, water, protection, anything she wanted. All they asked for in return was to hear the music, just once. The chaos was immense, but it was a gentle chaos. There was no pushing, no shoving. It was more like a pilgrimage. People shared their food and their stories. They talked about the songs they missed the most. They hummed the phantom melodies that were stuck in their heads. They were united by this shared quest. They were all pilgrims on the road to the last song. Ilara, a scared girl in a small apartment, had accidentally become the leader of a new kind of global community. She knew she couldn't hide forever. She had to do something. She had to play the song. The moment finally arrived. Ilara, with trembling hands, agreed to a public playing. A large stage was built in the park across from her building. Huge, old-fashioned speakers, salvaged from a concert hall, were wired to the PlayStation. The crowd, now thousands strong, fell completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Ilara, escorted by a small group of volunteers, walked onto the stage. She carried the PS2 like it was a sacred artifact. She carefully placed it on a small table, her every move watched by a million hopeful eyes. The world held its breath, waiting for the sound that would change everything. She knelt down and plugged it in. The old console hummed to life, its green light glowing in the twilight. It was a beautiful sight. She opened the disc tray. It slid out with a soft, mechanical whir. Inside was a single, scratched CD. It was a compilation disc, something her older brother had made years and years ago. She gently pushed the tray back in. The crowd leaned forward as one. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity. Then, a sound came from the speakers. It was a clean, clear digital sound. There were no hiccups, no sneezes, no silly noises. It was perfect. A wave of pure joy washed over the crowd. People cried. They hugged each other. The sound was real. It was music. Then, the first notes of the song began to play. A cheerful, bouncy synthesizer melody filled the air. It was a sound many people recognized instantly. A familiar female voice started to sing. Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh, oh. It was Dance Monkey by Tones and I. The crowd cheered, overjoyed to hear any song at all. They danced, they clapped, they sang along. For a few glorious minutes, music was back in the world. But when the song ended, Ilara tried to play the next track. The PS2 made a grinding noise. It skipped. It refused to play anything else. She tried again, and again. The result was the same. The laser, old and worn out, was stuck. It could only read that one specific part of the disc. It could only play that one song. A technician came on stage to look at the machine. After a few tense minutes, he shook his head. The console was too fragile. It could only play Dance Monkey. A strange feeling settled over the crowd, a mix of incredible gratitude and profound, soul-crushing disappointment. The world now had one song, just one, and it was Dance Monkey. Every day at noon, the song was played from the stage in the park. It was an international event. People gathered around public radios, which broadcast the live feed. For 3 minutes and 29 seconds, the planet was united by a single upbeat pop song. At first, it was a novelty. It was our song, humanity's anthem. People danced in the streets. They treasured every single note. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder of what we had lost, but also a celebration of what we had found. It was a connection to the old world. But then, the repetition started to wear on people. Imagine hearing the same song every single day. The exact same song. The cheerful melody started to sound less cheerful. The catchy chorus started to feel like a trap. It became a source of immense frustration. Some people grew to hate it with a passion. They called it the daily torture. They would cover their ears when it came on. The song that had once brought everyone together now started to divide them. You were either someone who could still enjoy it, or someone who was slowly being driven insane by it. This created a strange new culture. Dance Monkey was everywhere. Scholars wrote long essays on paper, analyzing its lyrics. Philosophers debated its meaning for humanity's future. Artists painted murals inspired by the song. But there was also a counterculture, people who refused to listen. They would go into soundproof rooms during the daily broadcast. They formed silence clubs where the song was forbidden. The single remaining piece of our musical past had become both a source of comfort and a source of conflict. It was our only hope and our greatest annoyance, all at the same time. The song became a symbol of our predicament. We had reached back into the past for a lifeline, and we had pulled out Dance Monkey. It was funny in a dark, ironic way. The song's lyrics, about dancing for people over and over, felt strangely appropriate. We were all trapped in a loop, forced to listen to the same performance again and again. The hope of hearing our old music was constantly dangled in front of us, only to be snatched away, leaving only the sound of that one inescapable pop song. It was a constant reminder of how much we had lost and how little we had left. The obsession with the PlayStation 2 and its single song couldn't last forever. The frustration was just too great. People started to turn away from the daily ritual. They were tired of waiting for a miracle from a machine. They were tired of being passive listeners. They wanted to be part of the music again. A new movement began to grow, far away from the crowds around Ilara's apartment. It started in small communities, in quiet villages, in the forgotten corners of the world. People started to realize something important. If they couldn't listen to music, they would have to make it themselves. This was the beginning of the great musical unplugging. People dug through their attics and basements. They found old, dusty instruments that had been ignored for decades. An old acoustic guitar with a missing string, a wooden flute a grandfather had carved, a set of drums a teenager had abandoned long ago. These simple objects became priceless treasures. They were not just wood and wire and skin anymore. They were tools of creation. They were the keys to unlocking the music that was trapped inside people's heads. The focus shifted from the past to the present, from listening to doing. It was a slow and clumsy process at first. Most people didn't know how to play. The first sounds were awkward and out of tune. A squeaky violin, a fumbled guitar chord, a drum beat that was just a little bit off. But it didn't matter. It was real, it was human, it was happening right there, in the moment. People gathered in small groups to learn together. They taught each other what little they knew. They experimented with sounds. They discovered the joy of creating a melody, no matter how simple. It was a rediscovery of the very basics of music. The world began to fill with a new kind of sound. It wasn't the polished, perfect sound of digital music. It was raw, imperfect, and deeply personal. It was the sound of a community coming together, the sound of friends sitting around a fire, strumming guitars and singing songs they made up on the spot. It was the sound of a neighborhood gathering in a park to listen to a small, makeshift orchestra. The reliance on the one last digital song started to fade. People were finding their own voices again. They were unplugging from the past and plugging into each other. The shift away from the PlayStation 2 was a shift from playlists to people. Before the giggle glitch, music was often a private experience. We had our own headphones, our own curated playlists. We listened alone, lost in our own worlds. Now, music was almost always a shared event. To hear music, you had to be with the people who were making it. You had to be present. Concerts weren't about famous stars on giant stages anymore. A concert could be a single person with a harmonica on a street corner, or a family singing together on their front porch. Music became local, intimate, and communal again. This brought about a wonderful change in how we lived. We started to value the present moment more. When music is live, you can't pause it or rewind it. You have to be there, listening, feeling the vibrations in the air. People would stop what they were doing and just listen. They would gather around the music, their faces lit by the shared experience. It slowed down the pace of life. We were no longer rushing from one thing to the next, with a soundtrack blasting in our ears. We were learning to appreciate the simple, beautiful act of sharing a song with the people around us. The musicians of this new era were not celebrities. They were our neighbors, our friends, our parents. They were bakers who played the flute after work, or carpenters who were surprisingly good at the drums. Talent was celebrated, but perfection was not the goal. The goal was connection. The joy came from the act of playing together, of creating something beautiful as a group. A song was no longer a product to be consumed. It was a conversation, a story told through sound, a moment of connection between the players and the audience. This new way of life had a profound effect on our communities. People became closer. They had a reason to gather, a reason to celebrate together. Music festivals were reborn, but they were small, local affairs. They were about participation, not observation. Everyone was invited to bring an instrument, or just their voice. The silence left by the giggle glitch was being filled, not by a single song from the past, but by a million new songs being created in the present. We were moving from a world of passive listeners to a world of active creators. In this new world, music became beautifully simple. Without access to the complex production tools of the digital age, we had to rely on the basics. Rhythm became king. The steady, powerful beat of a drum was something everyone could feel, something everyone could connect to. People made drums out of everything: hollow logs, overturned buckets, stretched animal skins. Drum circles became a common sight in city squares and village greens. They were the heartbeat of our new society, a primal, powerful force that brought everyone together. The rhythms were simple, but they were alive. Melody was rediscovered through simple instruments: the haunting sound of a wooden flute, the cheerful strum of a ukulele, the clear, bright notes of a xylophone made from scavenged pipes. People learned to sing again, not just along with a recording, but from their own hearts. They sang harmonies, creating rich, complex sounds with nothing but their voices. The songs they wrote were about their lives now. They sang about the sun rising, about the struggles of the harvest, about the joy of seeing a friend, and sometimes about the funny, frustrating memory of Dance Monkey. This simplicity was not a step backward. It was a return to the core of what music is. It was about human expression in its purest form. Without the distraction of endless choice, we learned to appreciate the beauty of a single, well-played note. We learned that music didn't need to be complicated to be powerful. A simple folk song, sung by a group of friends, could be more moving than any digitally produced masterpiece from the old world. We were building a new musical tradition from the ground up, one simple, honest song at a time. The world felt more musical than ever before, even with the loss of our entire recorded history. Music was no longer confined to our devices. It was in the air, on the streets, in our homes. It was a living, breathing part of our daily existence. The rhythms of our work, the songs of our children, the beat of the community drum circle. This was the new soundtrack of humanity. It was a soundtrack we were all writing together, every single day. We were no longer just consumers of culture. We were the creators of it. What will the future hold? The PlayStation 2 still sits in its place of honor, a strange monument to a forgotten time. Ilara is no longer its guardian. She is just a girl again, learning to play a guitar she made herself. The daily playing of Dance Monkey has stopped. It is now played only once a year, on the anniversary of the Giggle Glitch. It serves as a humorous, slightly painful reminder of our strange journey. A reminder of the day we lost everything, and the day we were given one single, absurd song in its place. It is our history, and we have learned to smile at it. There is a quiet hope that someday we might find a way to fix the old files. Perhaps a new generation of scientists, raised in this unplugged world, will find a solution. Maybe they will unlock the great library of the past. The thought is exciting. To hear Beethoven, or the Beatles, or Beyoncé again would be a miracle. To have that history back would be an incredible gift. We talk about it sometimes like an old legend. We dream of the day when the lost symphonies might return, echoing from the future to meet our simple, present songs. But we are no longer desperate. We are not waiting by the silent speakers anymore. Our lives are full of music now. It is a different kind of music, quieter, simpler, more personal. But it is ours. We made it. We have learned that music is not something that can be destroyed. It is not just a file on a server. It is a fundamental part of being human. It is the rhythm of our hearts and the song in our souls. The Giggle Glitch took our recordings, but it could not take our ability to create, to share, and to connect through sound. So, for now, we live in the music of the present. We gather, we play, we sing. We create new traditions, new melodies, new rhythms. We are building a new musical world, one that is perhaps more fragile, but also more authentic and more connected than the one we lost. The great digital library is gone, a ghost that haunts our memories. But the music itself is not lost. It is here, with us, in the hands that clap and the voices that rise together in song. And maybe, just maybe, that is a better way to live after all.